We always have fights about her calling the children Oko me, and I'm like, that's not your husband.
My husband is like, no, they're not your Oko, I am your Oko.
My name is Seun Ajayi, and this is my wife.
Damilola and Seun. We met I was invited by my friend to Afrif. Afrif is African
Africa International
Film Festival. And so we met one of the days that there was a viewing in one of the cinemas of Afrif. We were introduced by this mutual friend of ours, and it kept teasing me about my attire all through Afrif.
Because it was a week-long event.
It was a week-long event, and we usually used to bump into each other, and then he would tease me about what I'm wearing, or and I used to get so obsessed. I'm like, why is he? And I told my friend, why is he always teasing me about what I wear? Apparently, he was hitting on me.
Well, not really at the
hitting
time.
on me.
I thought it was interesting. She was one of the better dressed ladies, around, and I was only making comments and complimenting her clothes because I thought they were nice one. And the second thing was her reaction to it. Her reaction to it was very, she was very offhandish about it, and she was like avoiding me. So I was like, oh, okay, it was fun. I was honestly just having fun at the time. And then we started to talk. I got her number, we had conversations, and it seemed like we knew each other from a previous life. And one thing led to another. We had one giant fight. She blocked me, and then suddenly the heavenlies spoke to her. And she reached out to me on Instagram that, how are you? Did you block me back? I'm like, hell yeah, but I didn't type that. And we basically started talking again, and then I asked her out officially, and here we are. This is 6 years now.
Yeah.
Yes. Almost 6 years now since we met.
I think that Seun is one of the most patient people I know. With me. Maybe not with others, but with me, because I can be a handful. But he's quite patient. So that's one of the things that interests me about him is very particular about people's successes. Like, I always used to tell him that he's a much better person than I am, because he will celebrate everyone and anyone. He will celebrate your wins with you, even if it seemingly is not happening for him the way he wants it. If life is not going the way he wants it to go for him, is ready to put you on his head, he's ready to celebrate you regardless. So I think that's one of the things that interests me about him. Right now in our lives, I think one of the things that I value and that I love so much about him is the way he's very what's the word now? Is present for his children. Is so present for his children. I'm the mom. I feel like, but it takes so much more responsibility. I think I would say here that one of the things I appreciate the most about him is it makes it easy. He has made motherhood for me very easy. I remember that for our first, even the second that we have right now, a few days, about 2 days or 3 days after we came back from the hospital, the moms had to go, and it was just myself and him and the children. He picked up the responsibility of bathing the child. She was just 2 days old or 3 days old or thereabout, and he was already bathing her. I couldn't even bathe her, So is present. Him being present is one of the things that I love the most about him. So yeah.
Okay, my turn.
I think one of the things that interests me the most about Damilola is the way she pays attention. She pays attention to stuff. She would notice things that I wouldn't even see from a mile away. She'll notice how ashy my elbows are or my ankles. She'd notice that there's a kink in my shirt, or there's like, she notices the littlest things, and sometimes those things, like, it just really fascinates me because, I mean, if you look around my house, look around, the kids, me, there's been a path of growth that I didn't have. Like there are many things I didn't care about before I met my wife that now it's worlds apart. That's one. Two, she's very loving. Very loving in the sense that she can go out of her way to put a smile on your face, to make you happy, to have an experience that is good for you just to be happy. I mean, she would expend her time, expend her energy, expend her intellect, and think about who she would collaborate with, who would help her with this thing. Like, for instance, she planned a surprise birthday party for me when I turned 30, before we got married. And, just walking into that room, seeing all the people, nobody had ever done anything that nice for me before. And yes, true. And it was one of the things that that solidified my decision that I want this woman to be in my life for the rest of my life. So, of course, there are many other things. Of course, she's a beautiful, very beautiful and stylish woman as well. I always wanted that in a woman I will marry, and it was a perfect example, which alludes to why I was complimenting her so much when we met. There are many other things, but these things stand out.
I forgot to mention that one of the things that actually interests me about you is the fact that you have helped me to be more confident in myself, and you've given me so much support as regards to my business and my career. Seun would set up my email address. Seun will write proposals for me. Seun will push me to go and defend my proposals, and will give me a pep talk when I'm ready to go for the proposals. I see that he believes in me even more than I believe in myself, and that is such an endearing thing. It's such an endearing quality. It's one of the reasons why I actually really love him. So yeah.
I love you too. So when I was going to propose, I spoke to a few of her friends and I spoke to her sister. And then I started to shop around for a ring that, because she has very dainty fingers. So I was looking for a ring that would fit. And the ring that I chose, I thought it was pretty. I liked it. And I thought it would sit well on her finger. It was a pretty ring. And then I reached out to the vendor. I was shopping on Instagram. I reached out to the vendor and they said, oh, it's you, don't worry. I said, how much is it? They said, they told me what it was. And then I said, okay, I like this ring. And they said, no, don't worry, we'll give it to you for free. And I was like, yes,
Give it to you for free for what?
Yeah, okay, so give it to you for free. Just post the proposal and post your wife's finger and all of that and tag us. I said, okay, no problem. And then I proposed. We did a whole, day of proposing.
Shebang.
Yes, it was cool. And then, after I put the ring on her finger, a few hours later, I told her, so the vendor, let me tell you the ring story. This ring, we are really getting favor. The guys just gave it to me for free at no cost. And I think her eyes kind of drooped, and I was wondering, you should be happy, And in hindsight now, I realized that what I should have done was never have said that I got the ring without paying for it, because there's no woman that wants to feel like it was easy. for you. Like, they were gotten on a platter. That's one. And the other thing, and that ring had many defects. So there was so much ring drama around it. Even at some point, started to affect our relationship. But
I know, it was too big and it needed to
reduce,
reduce,
and
and
then
then they said they couldn't reduce it.
the stones started coming off. That was not a great experience. But I went back, we bought another ring and solved the problem.
I think my husband should go first.
Having children for us, having children, I'd say to any married couple or people about to be married, it completely changes the dynamic. I'm sure that you can hear my son's voice faintly in the background. One of the things that that happens is that you will lose many things, many intangible things like ownership of stuff, ownership of your own space, ownership of your sleep and rest, ownership of things like your privacy, your
you lost that when you married, actually.
No. Even be privacy between your wife and you.
Oh yeah.
Because when the baby came, that's my son again. When baby one came, my son Modebarelua, he took up so much space and brought a lot of people with him. Brought the grandmas with him. Brought all kinds of relatives and people who wanted to stay. Brought a nanny. My wife and I could no longer do our skinny dipping, walking around in the house any longer. We couldn't do all of that. We couldn't do all the
jump each other's bones.
We couldn't do all the skinny dipping, walking around in our birthday suits.
Yeah.
We couldn't just basically jump each other's bones anymore.
Yeah.
Because there were people everywhere. And, he became our landlord, basically. He became in control of all our activities. Once he cried, we had to stop everything that we were doing. So, that was the one thing. The other thing was that it's a beautiful time because it's like consistently witnessing a miracle, even till now, So that's what I wouldn't say that there was any adverse effect. Yes, we had to shift priorities on many things, but we did these things in joy and in love.
Yeah. Well, for me, what were the things that changed when children started coming? First of all, of course, as a woman, your body changes completely. Children are the most adorable, but they have such great audacity. It's amazing. And then they enter into your room, you're in the bathroom and just having a quiet moment, taking a dump.
And they're just
busting and stand there in your face and be like, Mommy. I'm like, Debari, I'm coming. I'm like, yes, Mommy.
I need it now.
Mommy. Okay, so you have to consciously do things with them in consideration. You can't just go out on a whim. You can't just do things on impulse. And then with children, you also have to consciously make sure that you make time out for your spouse and for yourself, so that you don't get lost in between the whole process of being a mother
or being a dad, sir.
Because you can get caught up. I mean, your children are your children, so you tend to get caught up in taking care.
We always have fights about her calling the children Oko me, and I'm like, that's not your husband.
My husband is like, no, they're not your Oko, I am your Oko. So you have to, but I mean, it's the most interesting and the most enjoyable phase of our lives right now.
Yes.
I'm enjoying every bit of it. The sleepless nights, because now we have a new baby, so sleepless night, we shuffle between the sleepless nights.
Yeah.
Expressing milk, oh my goodness.
Expressing milk for the baby, feeding the baby, making sure she's fine.
And then also making sure that Debari doesn't feel neglected in all of this whole phase of having a newborn. He also needs to feel loved. So yeah, it's interesting.
Is marriage overrated?
Nah, it's
Marriage is not the barrier now. Marriage is not overrated. Marriage is. I think one of the reasons why a lot of people have dashed expectations when they get into marriage is that they got into marriage thinking their lives will not change, or certain parts of their lives will not change, or they will not have to adjust. But when you
people got into marriage expecting too much from their spouse, and then they realize, oh my God, he's human.
Or they realize that, you know what, my spouse, my husband, or my wife cannot make me happy. That's the truth. They are not there to complete you, so to speak. You need to be complete yourself. They are not there to make you happy. You need to be a happy person so you can even contribute.
So it's a compliment kind of thing.
Yes,
so your spouse
compliments you. You're supposed to bring 100, and your spouse brings 100, and then you put it together, and so yes, I would say to you that marriage is definitely not overrated. It's one of the best decisions that I made. It's one of the best decisions I made, and because I'm married, I know that because I'm married, many things in my life have changed. I'm always thinking about more than one person now when I make any decisions. Basically, I mean, it's just been an enjoyable time. I'm glad that they are all in my life now. It started with her, and then
we now have
two more people.
I do not think that marriage is overrated. I do not think so at all. I think that marriage is a beautiful institution. You just have to, like Seun said, you have to ensure that you don't go in with expectations that cannot be met by a human being or by an individual. A lot of the times I feel like when you hear that this marriage is crashed or that one is crashed, it's because you projected so much expectations onto your spouse, and then when they don't meet it, you think that, oh my God, you made such a horrible decision, or you made a horrible mistake. So I try as much as possible to make sure that I don't lose myself. I think that's one of the reasons why people also think that marriage is overrated. Yeah, you don't lose yourself in marriage. You make sure that you as a person also keeps evolving. Don't throw away the things that you always used to love. Still do the things that you love. Still create time for your own self. Still create time for your own self. In as much as you spend time with your spouse, spend time with your own self as well. Don't throw your friends away. Have time for your friends, for family.
It's not a decision you make on impulse. It's a decision, and it's not an emotional decision. Getting married to someone is not an emotional decision. It is something that should be properly analyzed, very well analyzed, and when you are sure, it should include your emotions, but it shouldn't be primarily driven by them. And I'm sure that when you get in, it's not the emotions that keep you going, it's the commitment that keeps you going, because the emotions are not always positive. That's my advice.
What's my advice? I mean, the first thing that I would say is this: make sure that you are whole on your own self, by your own self. Make sure that you're whole before you get into marriage. If you need to heal from some traumas, make sure you heal so that you don't project your hurt on your spouse. If you need to find your purpose, make sure you find it, and don't put that responsibility onto your spouse. If you have what's that word? If you have I don't know how to explain it, but long and short, just make sure that you're your own self before you get married. Be confident in who you are. Be accepting and and celebrate who you are before you get into marriage. Because sometimes your spouse can get so distracted that it's not because they are bad people or they forget to seemingly maybe appreciate you or celebrate you. But if you're confident in yourself, You don't wait for them to do that. So my advice is find yourself, be whole as a person. You can't give what you don't have. So if you don't have love, if you don't have contentment in yourself, if you've not found yourself, you can give that to somebody else. So yes, that's my advice.
Well done.